Jessica, since you're not a full-time employee, they can do about whatever they want. That's sad to say, but they can. Uh, would they? It depends on how bad they need you, and would they have to train somebody else? Uh, so, but you probably should go and try to make it in. I've had 2 or 3 calls. One fellow said his hadn't been e-filed. I'll have to check with Sarah tomorrow and see if she's e-filed them. Another lady, something was wrong on hers. She wanted us corrected. I looked at it Thursday before I left, and I fixed it so Sarah couldn't e-file it. And I texted Sarah and told her not to e-file it. Uh, so, and then Jessica's got a woman called them one time. She had 1 W-2, right? And she calls or texts you back in. She's got 2 W-2s. You know, these people, they come in.
On top of 3 that I've already done.
Do what?
I said on top of 3 W-2s that I've already done.
Yeah.
For that single one.
They come in, well, I forgot my W-2. I don't have a routing number, but I want it automatic deposit. And this is the young people that I don't have a check with me. This person, I believe, she was middle-aged. She wasn't one of the old people, was she?
The one with the W-2s? No, she's about my age.
Right. The older people usually have their stuff together. They want it done right. But anyway, Jessica, I hope you're better. We're filled up again for tomorrow night. We're booked up through March, and we've only got about another week we can book up. When does April the 15th end this year? Everybody got a calendar?
It's on a Wednesday.
So we'll be doing taxes right on the last day, and we haven't filled up April the 7th, or the 8th, or the 15th yet. Maybe not even April the 1st. Now, one day in March, Wednesday, March, see if March 11th is on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's spring break. We're not going to do taxes over spring break. So, we won't be here that night. We're going to do all we can. I'll check with Sarah and more about e-filing. We'll try to be here at 3:45 and boot it up. And Lamont, if you hear this, that means you. Clayton, that means you. And Mr. Teller emailed me, he won't be here the next Wednesday. Michelle has a conference, he has to babysit. So, I think they got their babysitting worked out pretty good. But you know, some colleges have babysitting services, don't they, for their students and even their employees. I got a niece that works for Disney World down in Florida, so does her husband. And they have a daycare center for their kids. And it's state-of-the-art daycare center.
Concord does.
What?
Concord does.
They have a daycare center? Didn't know that. Anyway, we looked at chapter 11 on inventory, cash versus accrual basis, and accounting periods. We went over some problems. I feel okay about that chapter. Chapter 14, credits, we went over the credits. We have not looked at any problems. I still don't feel good about that chapter. We'll hit it some more. Chapter 12, we're going to hit it today and look at this section 1231 and 1245 once again.
Your TV's not on.
TV's not on? Good. I'll get it. Let me see if I've got the right chapter up here. Yeah, property transactions and non-taxable exchanges. This one's on. Come on, come on. Now, you four folks, I guess, counting Lamont. Now, who's still in the intermediate? You four, William. So William's taking governmental. William should have been taking taxi too. But that's five of you. Who's the other two in the intermediate? Some woman I've never had before.
Brandy and Robert.
Okay, Robert is in cost accounting. He's not in taxes because he's just getting a minor in accounting. And you say Brandy? I don't know what all she's had, but I hope there's six of you next year that are taking advanced accounting and governmental, except William. Computerized accounting, which has changed to QuickBooks Pro. When I talk computerized accounting, we had to go through some general accounting, and we had to go into flow charting a little bit and accounting systems. It's much different from what it is now. I do like the QuickBooks Pro that gives you some hands-on on accounting program. And since Intuit down here in Bluefield sponsors that, then they should furnish QuickBooks Pro, of course, for that course. Hopefully you don't have to buy anything. Now I asked them to furnish TurboTax for each of the tax students next year in the fall. Anyway, I just hope the accounting program stays up to par. All right. Tax deferred under section 1231, like-kind exchanges. Not worried about this. Tax-free under sale of personal residence. You can sell a personal residence now and not pay taxes on a gain of $500,000 single. $1 million, unless they up that a little bit, $1 million married, filing joint. If you can ever own a house, folks, it's the best tax loophole you can get. Because houses go up. You know, if you buy a $200,000 home and get a 30-year mortgage, you probably paid out $200,000 in interest. But in 30 years, that home should be worth double. And so it's good investment. Now, like-kind exchanges has to do with trade or business or investment property. Not that I'll trade Jessica a tax book for a cost accounting book, or I'll trade her my computer for her computer. That's personal. We're not using it in business. Now, if both of us used our computer in business, it'd be a like-kind exchange. Now, it's funny that an apartment building in Chicago can be traded for a farm out in the country, and that's a like-kind exchange. A cow for a cow is a like-kind exchange. But the IRS says a bull for a cow is not a like-kind exchange. They say they're used for different purposes. So I thought apartment building and a farm were too. But that's IRS for you. Some of the code. Now, Trump is going to suggest another tax cut if he wins again. Okay? And if I were forecasting anything, I'm going to forecast that Trump will win again unless something drastic changes. Unless he tweets one time too many, he'll be reelected. He's the tweeting president. Like kind, nature or character of the property, not the grade or quality, nature or character. An office building can be exchanged for a farm since both are used in trade or business as an investment. Holding period, tax from relinquished property to the like kind. What that means, Jessica, you get to get up and leave whenever you feel like you need to. On 2/18/18, this business bought a truck for $14,000 minus $10,000 accumulated depreciation. Cost minus accumulated depreciation. Now, what's that truck's book value? What's its book value? 4, right? Now, I'm going to trade that truck for a like kind truck that has a $6,000 fair market value. Now, that's a like kind exchange. Now I've got this truck. What's my basis? My base is still 4,000, yes. What's my holding period? 2/18/18. Now, what difference does that holding period make? Long-term capital gain versus short-term capital gain. Over a year, it's long-term, isn't it? So if I turn around and sold that tomorrow in 2020, it would be a long-term gain. If I sold it for 6, then I've got a 2,000 long-term capital gain. Stock and General Motors for stock and Ford Motors is not like kind. It's got to be in the same class to be like kind. Trading euro dollars for American dollars is not like kind. If I trade gold for silver, it's not like kind. If I trade livestock for different livestock, it's not like kind. Personal property is not like kind. Personal use property is not like kind. But now we know in business, personal property can be computers. Real property we know is buildings and land. And of course we can't convert foreign property and call it a like kind exchange. Now here we've got property A and property B. If we can read this chart, A and B. We've got Steve. Now before the exchange, property B, fair market value $150, just base is 85. After exchange, the base is 85. That's what I was telling you. Holding period is the same. Same thing for this next property. It takes on the basis that you had in the property you traded. We won't get into a three-party exchange. Requirements for non-stimulus exchange. Self-relinquency of the property. Identify property within 45 days of requirement 1. Take title to the like kind property within 180 days. That's just some condition. Don't worry about those much either. Now, if we receive boot, cash and non-like kind property, boot when transferred as part of the exchange. Fair market value of the non-like exchange. Amount of boot. Transfer the liability assumed by the other party. Gain is recognized to extend a boot. All right. What this means, let's see if I can give you an example. Let's take that $4,000 truck. This is taxpayer A. Taxpayer B has a $6,000 truck. This is fair market value. This is adjusted basis. Now, if we just trade, there's no problem, right? But now, what if I give my truck plus $1,000 boot? Now, what's that going to make my basis? Right, 5,000. Now, what's that going to make the basis over here? He's going to subtract 1,000. That's going to make his basis 5,000 instead of 6. All right, it gets a little more complicated than that. Basis of property exchange, 4,000. He gave no boot. He gave no boot. Now the gain not recognized. No gain recognized. That means his base is still 4,000. Now if we were taking a fellow with a $6,000 truck and he got the $1,000 boot, he has no gain recognized of what? No recognized loss. So his basis is 5,000. That's those simple situations. Exchanges between related parties, I don't recommend it. Original exchange had occurred between related parties, and you could unrealized some of the gain. Related party sales are property within 2 years. Gain is recognized in the year of the subsequent. All right. Again, we won't worry about that area too much. All right, let's go back to the original 4,000 adjusted basis for a truck with a fair market value of 6. Now, if we gave this person over here 3,000 boot cash, then this person's going to have how much of a gain? He got this $4,000 truck plus 3,000 cash. How much gain will he have? 1,000. That's all he pays taxes on, that cash of 1,000. An involuntary conversion Alexander, how do we get an involuntary conversion? Do you live with your dad and mom?
Yeah.
They own their home?
Yes.
All right. If it burns down, it's involuntary conversion. If flood takes it away. So an act of nature, and also a theft, and there's one other one here. Government can condemn your property. All right? Now, if government can condemn it, why would the government condemn your property, Alexander, your parents' property?
It's a hazard to the environment.
Do what?
I said it's a hazard to the environment.
Well, how about the environment is a hazard to your mom and dad? You know, wasn't there some nuclear island they had to evacuate the people? There was a meltdown, and the government took their property. Now, the government can take your property for a road. They can take your property to build a hospital on or a school. They can take your property. All right. Buckhead County. There's a lot of coal mining shafts over there. And the county condemned some houses because the shaft was under them and they were falling down. And the coal mine had to buy them out. Their property was condemned, and the mining company had to buy them out. Now you can defer gains, but now if you have a loss, if your parents' house, well, if this were business property, let's go back to business property. On your house, you cannot take a personal loss, only a casualty loss. But let's go back to your house. If it worth $100,000 and the government condemned it and only gave you $80,000, you have a $20,000 loss, not deductible because it's personal property. Now, if it were rental property, you have a $20,000 loss, and you don't defer it, you take it. Now, if you got $150,000 of that rental house, you can't defer the gain. If you want to defer the gain, it's got to be an involuntary conversion. But now you're going to have to reinvest those sometime within 2 years to delay that gain. It must be qualified replacement property, another rental house, for example. Now here are some reasons you have involuntary conversion. Theft, destruction by wind and fire and rain, condemned by the government, seizure, that's still seizure by the government. Okay, if you had a pound of cocaine in your car, can the police seize your car? They can't they? That's where seizure comes in. You had involuntary conversion, you lost your car. Requisition, I don't know how that works. If the government requisitions your property, they're just going to use your property as is. Now, if you hear by word of mouth that the county is going to condemn your house, is that a condemnation yet? You hear by word of mouth? No. But what if you see it printed in the newspaper that the Board of Supervisors has voted to condemn your property? Then you've got an involuntary conversion. Now, we may have gain realized and not recognized, or gain realized and recognized. Now, we'll look. An holding period takes from condemned properties to replacement. So if your parents bought their house 5 years ago, that's their holding period, even if they buy another house. Now let's look at the sale of a residence. I was half wrong about that. It's how much single and how much married filing joint. $500,000. I think I doubled both of those for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because I hadn't looked at it in a year. So you can exchange your home, no tax problems, sell your home. You got to use it 2 out of 5 years. 2 out of 5 years. You can't buy it and sell it 6 months later. Unforeseeable circumstances might omit the 2 out of 5 years. If you were transferred, health, sickness, examples are death, you were laid off, you divorced, a disaster came along. So examples of unforeseeable circumstances, and of course, other involuntary conversion. Gain excluded. Lesser of days, ownership or use test met, or at least that's a section 121 transaction. All right, in a 2-year period, how many days are in a year times 2 years is how many?
730.
And that's why we have the 730 denominator. And up here, you may have only lived in it 100 days, so you can still exclude some of that gain. Now, realized gain on the sale of a home, amount received minus your adjusted basis. And we know your adjusted basis is its cost plus any improvements, plus any addition, plus any landscaping. It could be turned into a resident. I think you can still recognize most all of it. We'll look at examples. All right, here is a form. Let me blow it up just a little bit. All right, this is easy enough. Take the selling price of your home. You may have had to pay a commission. This is your amount realized, minus your adjusted basis, gain or loss on the sale of the home. We're down to number 5. Now, I bought a home one time. I made a lot of capital improvements. I built on a deck. I built a patio. I built in the basement. I enclosed half of the carport in. I paved the driveway and I put out shrubbery. So I had a lot of capital improvements, not repairs. Repairs were painting, fixing the faucet and all that. Okay, exclusion. Enter any depreciation. If you read it, which you didn't, that'd be the same. Number of days qualified to use. Number of days of non-qualified use after. I put 0. Number of days taxpayer owned the property. 5 years, I'd put 5 times 365. And I'd get 100%. And gain allocated to non-qualified, gain eligible for exclusion. I put the whole gain. And then that's where you come down here. And you got the exclusion of 250,000 or 500,000. All right, you still got the 250 and 500,000 even on involuntary conversion. And you should be in compliance and report involuntary conversion transactions. Now, I think real estate people now have to give you some kind of tax form showing sale of your principal residence and the selling expenses. And that's what's in that chapter, folks. It's a short chapter, it's a sweet chapter, and we're going to try to look at a couple of problems. We don't want to do too much. We'll try to go to 1:30ish. Don't want to do too much with half the class out. All right, we're going to go over to page 24, 25 that is. And Alexander, you're going to do all of number 25. And Seth, you're going to do 26. And 28. So Seth, you got 26 and 28, and Alexander's got 25. They're short, they're sweet, we'll answer. Okay, page 1225, if you're live streaming or in class, which of the following exchanges qualifies as a like kind? Alexander, how about Acme Corporation stock held for investment for Mesa Corporation? Miss.
Yes.
No. Stock for stock does not qualify.
No.
No. Now, I would argue if it was common stock and X company for common stock and X company, don't know why you do that, but no on A. A motel used in a trade or business for an apartment complex. Does that seem like it would be like kind? B, yes or no?
I thought no, because they're different uses.
But it is like kind. Yes. A pecan orchard in Texas, and I know you're going to get this one, for an orange grove in Florida. Is that like kind?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it is. D, a 1/3 interest in a general partnership for a 1/4 interest in a limited partnership.
No.
No, definitely not like kind. Inventory for equipment used in a trade or business.
I guess no on that one.
No, because you can't trade inventory for anything and call it like kind. How about F though? Unimproved land held as an investment for a warehouse used in a trade or business. Now, IRS is going to say that's like kind. Now, an automobile used as a personal use asset for a marketable security. No, that wouldn't work even if the automobile was a business asset. So, Alexander, B, C, and F were like kind exchanges. Now, when we get down to Safe here, how about number 26, Safe?
Right, A is definitely like kind.
A is what?
Or like kind.
No, it's international. It's a foreign. So no, it's a foreign country.
Alright.
I don't see anything I like about office building an airplane either. Do you?
No.
All right, no there. Land held for investment for marketable securities. There's no like kind there. Land held for investment for a farm. How about that one? Yes, that's the only one. D. Now let's go down to 27, which neither of you had. Now look at this one. We're giving up land for $20,000, and the fair market value of land we received is $85,000. How much of a realized gain do we have? 20 from 85 is how much? 20 from 85 is what?
65.
How much?
65.
Now how much of that is realized? I mean recognized, sorry. 65 realized. How much recognized? 0. It's a like kind of exchange. But now look at B there, 45,000. But you received 14,000 plus 70,000. Now how much is your realized gain on that one? 70 plus 14 is 84 minus 45 is how much? How much?
39.
How much of that do you realize, recognize for taxes? How much boot did you receive?
14.
That's what you recognize. Now look to 60,000, you got 25 plus 65. That makes 90 minus 60 is 30. All right, you recognize 25,000. Now look at the next one, 70,000. You receive 60 plus 38. That's 98. How much is recognized? 98 minus 70.
28.
is 28 realized and 28 recognized. Your basis goes down to 60. About 90,000. You receive 22 and 55, which is 77.
So loss
You have a loss of,
23.
yeah, 23 or 13.
13.
All right. Let's see what we did to number 26. Well, number 27. All right. We should have hit all these. Realize 20, recognize 0. Realize 45, recognize 14. Realize 60, recognize 25. Realize, no, that's basis. Not realize. But we did get 28, and we had 0 here. We had a loss over here. Over here is realized. Realize 28, recognize 28. Now look at those good. Receive and boot is don't have to be that complicated. Okay? It's not as complicated as units started or units transferred out or units started and completed. Now say if you had this next part, don't know if you got to it or not.
Alright, A, I think you have a gain of about 52,000.
Well now, your computer was worth 34, right?
Yes.
And you had a gain of quite a bit. How much do you recognize?
Just 16.
See, the corporation owns this personal property. That's different. 16. Now, how about a used computer with an 18,000 fair market value plus 7,000 cash?
That's a loss of 9.
You had a big loss, didn't you? And C, marketable security was 61,000 fair market value.
That's a gain of about 27.
34 from 61. And it's another like kind of exchange gain. Realized gain, why do we have to recognize 52 there? $34 plus 70 plus 16 makes 86. Be 52. The realized gain is easy to see, 52. But look at this. They didn't used to do this. This is personal property in a corporation. Even though it's like kind, you recognize all the gain because it's personal use property. Personal property, like a computer. Now the same thing for B part. You got a $9,000 loss. And C part, you got a 27,000 gain. Remember, that's personal use property. And 27 was not. Let's do a couple more here that involves a liability. Say if you do 29 and Alexander do 30. That'll take care of 2 liability problems, which I hadn't mentioned yet. Remember, if I take over your liability, that's the same as you giving me cash.
Sorry? Yeah. Zoom in.
Okay, now say, what did your building cost?
Well, it had a basis of 340,000, but
Right.
fair market value of 750,000.
Now what did you receive?
You received a building with a fair market value of 950,000, but a liability of 200,000.
So you're really only receiving 750,000.
That'd be the basis for that.
Well, first off, subtract your 340 from 750. Tell me what your realized gain is.
It's 410.
340 from 750 is how much?
410.
All right. No gain or loss is recognized. Now Paul's basis for the building is 540,000. All right, that is your 340 plus 200. You're paying. It's almost like you're paying 200 cash when you're taking somebody's liability. If I take your liability and you owe 200,000, I pay for it. That's cash. So that's why the base of his building went up. Now let's see if Alexander's was similar. Helmut exchanges his apartment complex for Head's Farm, and it does qualify for like kind. His adjusted basis is 600, and the complex is subject to 180 liability. Now this is the other person have the liability says. The one you had, you assumed the liability. Here we're giving up the liability. The fair market value of his farm is 770, and the farm is subject to a $100,000 liability. Well, the other fellow has a $100,000 liability. Each asset is transferred subject to the liability. Well, didn't say fair market value. So here you're giving up a $600,000 apartment building, and you're going to pay off his loan of $100. That's $700. And you're giving up $780, but you're also taking his liability of $180, or $770 at $180. Alexander, I don't know what you worked out on it, but here's the deal on it. What was it? Number 30?
Yes.
770. And then you're giving up a note, 950. Base of the other apartment, and you're taking over note, 700. So you had a $250,000 gain. Were you close?
No.
$250,000 gain. Okay. And the other person is 60,000 minus Boo received, 180 minus 100. All right. 180 is one liability. Subtract out the other liability. Is 80,000. Gain realized would be 80,000. Base of the form received would be 600. All right. Okay, folks. Be working the even problems. Read this chapter. Be working the remainder of the even problems. Now, Thursday we'll pick up the even problems here. We'll pick them up in chapter 14. That'll leave us chapter 13. But that's the section 1231 property. We will have a test after chapter 12. So hopefully Thursday we'll get through chapter 12 and 14, and Tuesday we'll have our first open book test. It's getting to be toward midterm, and I better give you a test. And with that, with that we will call it a day, and let you out a little early because, like I say, 50% of the people are not here. 2 out of 4.